I heard your jokes. Y'all are funny as hell. Oh, let's get this mic going. I heard your jokes. Y'all are funny as hell, man. Y'all know me though, so I don't even know why y'all trip, right? Anyway, I got a fun show for y'all today. Really not a lot of NFL news to discuss. We do have a couple of things that I do want to talk about, but we're going to throw this thing back. It'll be a throwback Thursday podcast episode. Haven't done it in a while, so it should be a lot of fun. Let's get to the proceedings this evening. You are dialed in to the 269th installment of the Louie Tee Network podcast that starts now. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to the 269th installment of the Louie Tee Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie Tee. Thank you for joining me. We have a couple of things that we need to knock down before we can throw it back, way back into time. And so let's go ahead and jump into that right now as we kick the show off with our Gem Droppin Session. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T8. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So let's start off, get the NBA out of the way quick, fast, and in a hurry. Game 6 of the NBA Finals is tonight. Celtics are on the brink of elimination, down 3-2 in the series. They're at home with a chance to send this game series back to San Francisco, tied at 3 apiece. And I think they ultimately will. Now, again, this Warriors team, battle-tested, been here before, championship medal. They can get this done on the road if the Celtics aren't careful. If they don't take care of the basketball tonight, if they don't knock down shots, if they don't defend well, they will be done tonight, okay? They will lose this series on their home floor, but I don't think that's going to take place. They haven't been a great home team, as I mentioned, throughout the playoffs. They've actually been, just as good on the road, if not better on the road than they have been at home. So this is not a lock by any stretch of the imagination that they're going to win this game and force this series back to Golden State for Game 7. That said, if you are the Warriors, you want to end this thing tonight because the Celtics have shown the ability, as they did in the last series, to win a Game 7 on the road. You do not want to go down that path with a team that I actually think, and I've seen a lot of people talking about this series and saying, oh, well, Golden State is the better team. I don't agree with that statement. I think the Golden State Warriors may be the slightly deeper team, but I don't think they're the better team. If you're talking about talent, I think the Celtics have more talent on their basketball team, and it's younger. They're more youthful, and I think because of that, they have the edge if they can, just play mistake-free basketball. Take care. Look, you're going to turn the ball over, but what you can't do is turn it over 19 times, which is what they've been doing, it seems like, almost every game in this series, and expect to win. You turn it over 10, 11 times, okay, it happens, but and if you're going to turn it over, make it a dead ball turnover, okay? Ball goes out of bounds, shot clock violation, traveling, something like that. Don't let it be the careless turnovers that we've seen. You get up in the air after you're driving to the basket, you try to find a teammate, you throw it away, and now the Golden State Warriors are running the other way, and they're in transition, and they're getting a layup, they're getting a dunk, or they're getting a three-point shot. Like, that's the stuff that kills you if you're Boston, and that's what's killed them really this entire series. Again, you have to defend without fouling, and I would make the others do it again. They did it last game. Guys stepped up. Andrew Wiggins was outstanding. He really has been probably their most consistent player, not named Steph Curry, in the series. Klay Thompson was solid last game. Draymond Green had his best game of the series last game. So the others stepped up. Make them do it again. I don't think they can, not on the road at least. Make them do it again if you're Boston. Defend Curry the exact same way. Look, he's going to make shots. He had some open looks that he just flat out missed. He didn't shoot it well. He's going to make some shots in this game. He's not going to shoot it as poorly as he did in game number 5. That said, you can limit his effectiveness by doing exactly what you did last game, which is hedging hard on those screens, doubling him, getting the ball out of his hands, making him uncomfortable, chasing him around, going over the top of screens, not under screens, and just being a lot more physical in nature, covering him and making him work on both sides of the basketball, not just on the offensive side where he's running around trying to get repositioning for a shot, but also making him work on the defensive side. Continue to take advantage of matchups where he's guarding a guy down the post that he's much smaller than. Take advantage of those opportunities, try to get fouls on him, make him a guy that's not in the game getting into a rhythm because of foul trouble. If you can do that with him or Clay, it really heightens your chances of winning the basketball game. So I think this is a game that the Celtics will have their guys step up. They'll play better on the offensive side of the basketball, which they did not in game number 5. They're at home, so I expect a guy like White, who was non-existent. I think he had 1 point in the game, which is uncharacteristic of what he's been of late for them. So they need a guy like Derek White to go back to the 18 to 20, points that he's been scoring. And I think he will. I think you'll get a contribution from Derek White tonight. I think you'll get a contribution from Grant Williams and Marcus Smart and all of the guys that you need to step up in order to force this thing to a game 7. And I think it will be a game 7 back in Golden State on Sunday night for all the marbles. I got the Celtics winning this game tonight by 12. After this is a competitive game for 3 quarters, Golden State doing that third quarter thing. I think the Celtics are up by 6 at halftime. Golden State makes one of their patented runs in the third quarter. They've got a 4-point lead heading into the fourth, and then Boston explodes in the fourth quarter like they've done in a lot of their victories in this series. Outscore the Warriors by 16 in the fourth quarter, win the game by 12. I got Boston winning this basketball game 112-100 to force a game 7. So let's get to the other part of the Gem Droppin Session, and that is Minkah Fitzpatrick getting his deal. 4 years, $73.6 million for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Will pay him just a shade over $18 million per year. 36 million of it is guaranteed. So essentially half of the contract is guaranteed. All of these are the highest in the league for an NFL safety. The previous highest safety, on AVV was, Jamal Adams at 17.6. So Minkah almost tops him by a full $1 million. This is, how this goes. The next guy is the highest guy. We've talked about that already, but this isn't a case of a guy undeservingly being the highest paid. Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of the best safeties in football. The Steelers went out of their way to make a trade to acquire him in his second season from the Miami Dolphins, and he's been fantastic for the Dolphins the Steelers since acquiring him. And they forked over the cash. And it's a great move by the Pittsburgh Steelers to lock down one of their best and youngest defenders on that defense, and have him be able to man up the back end of that defense for many years to come. And so it's less about Minkah Fitzpatrick in terms of what I want to talk about, because this was a deal that we saw coming and it was well-deserved. What I want to know is, what does this mean for the likes of other safeties around the league who are looking to get paid as well? So the first guy that came to my mind was Jesse Bates III in Cincinnati. He's currently on a franchise tag. He wants to be paid. I didn't think he was even going to get the franchise tag. The way Cincinnati was carrying it, it seemed like they were going to allow him to test the free agent market and he was going to have to get his elsewhere. They slapped the franchise tag on him. I don't know if they're in that Denver Broncos, Justin Simmons type of mindset where they're like, hey, we don't want you to go anywhere. And if we've got to tag you a second time and try to work out a long-term deal, we will do that. But we want you here. Or if this is just, hey, we want one more year of service. We almost won the Super Bowl. We want to run it back. And then after that, you can go get your money elsewhere. I don't know what their mindset is, but clearly after seeing what Minkah Fitzpatrick just got, Jesse Bates thinks he's one of the best safeties in football. He's going to want to be paid handsomely. I'm not saying that he's going to top Minkah Fitzpatrick or Jamal Adams, but this pushes the price up. That's definitely what this has done. This pushes the price of the pack up for sure at the safety position. The safety pack just went up. And so even if it's not top of the market money, it's definitely going to push that price up. If it was once, hey, I want 16 million per year. Now I want 16.7, per year. That's the kind of impact that this deal had. Maybe even I want 17 now. Okay. Cause that like I said, the price of the pack is going up at the safety position. And I'm also looking at a guy like Derwin James. Here's a guy that has had injury concerns throughout his career, but the end of that rookie deal is coming up. He's going to want to get paid. And he had a healthy season last year. He was solid. He wasn't great, but he was good. All right. This is a guy that's already made a Pro Bowl in his career. So his agent is going to say, and if Derwin James turns in a fantastic campaign this year, and that's what he's really banking on, is that this is the year that he's finally fully healthy. He wasn't rehabbing this offseason, and he's able to just get stronger and be a little bit more adept at his craft. And so if he's able to go out, play the kind of football that he's fully capable of playing, he balls this year, they're going to have to show him the cash. And he's the kind of guy that could top Minkah Fitzpatrick and set the market, reset the market at the safety position. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jesse Bates. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Derwin James after seeing this deal that Minkah Fitzpatrick just got, 4 years, $73.6 million, 36 of it guaranteed, $18.4 million per annual salary for the newest, highest paid safety in the league, Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's the first big move by the new Pittsburgh Steelers GM, Omar Khan, who took over for longtime Steelers general manager Kevin Colbert. So not a bad first move. Remember, it was Colbert who traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick, but Khan has loved the contribution and remember, Omar Khan was in that Steelers organization, was promoted from within. So it's not like he just got here and was like, oh, well, I want to, turn his roster over. He was a part of the decision-making process. He had helped construct this roster. So you're not going to see a whole lot of turnover here, even though there has been a change at the general manager position. So with that said, let's now get to our next segment as we throw it back on this Thursday here on the Louie Tee Network podcast. I'm going to take a trip down memory lane and head back to the 2018 NFL Draft. Let's take that trip down memory lane, back down memory lane on the Louie Tee Network podcast. So, it's been a while since we've done this. Going back down that path of memory lane. We always talk about the NFL draft, and we talk about not really being able to know how good or bad a draft is until we've given it at least 3 years to breathe. Ideally, I think 4 years is the magic number, but 3 years is usually enough time to figure out if a guy can do it or not. So we're now 4 years removed from the 2018 NFL draft. And, kind of looking back, what a draft it was. Interesting enough with the quarterbacks, 5 of them went in the first round. Only 2 of them have panned out. And that's generally the hit rate you get when you get a 5-piece in the first round. We just had one of those in 2020, 2021. Was it a 5 or a 4-piece? I think it was a 5-piece. It was Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Jones, and Fields. So we got a 5-piece in 2021. I think 2 or 3 of those guys are going to pan out. Right now, it looks like Fields is, one of the odd men out because of his situation in Chicago. I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. He's got talent, man, but he doesn't have talent around him. That is the biggest problem that I see with him right now, is he was really, drafted into a really bad situation. Anytime you get a regime that is, on their way out. It felt Dwayne Haskins-ish, in the way that it was done. Jay Gruden was forced to draft Dwayne Haskins against his wishes. He was on his deathbed as an NFL head coach, and so he was trying to win. He wasn't really looking to play a rookie quarterback. You also had a GM in Chicago, and same with Washington, and Bruce Allen, who was on his deathbed as well. And so you got these two guys, making decisions that could alter the future of a young quarterback's career. And you bring that guy into a situation that's not ideal, with a coaching staff that could care less about his development or growth because they're trying to win ball games and save their own ass. And then you don't surround that guy with talent, and it's a recipe for disaster. Obviously, Jay Gruden, Bruce Allen, all those guys were out at the end of that season. And you bring in a new staff, and they have no ties to this guy that they, the last regime drafted, and it's a mess. Now he's learning another playbook. He's got to get acclimated. You don't know if they love you or not. Same thing with Justin Fields. You had Matt Nagy and the GM Ryan Pace, and it's not an ideal situation. They end up getting fired at the end of the year. Fields is kind of left in limbo. They hire a defensive-minded coach, similar to what they did in Washington with Ron Rivera. And you bring in an offensive coordinator, but, again, you don't know if that guy's going to mesh well with that young quarterback. And similar to Washington not surrounding Dwayne Haskins with talent, they didn't surround Justin Fields with any talent in Chicago. And I think he's being left out to dry, honestly. But we'll see what happens with that group. But we can take a look at the 2018 group and kind of decipher who's good and who's not. So I want to take a look specifically at the first two rounds of that draft in-depthly. Then I want to go through the rest of the draft and just pick out names that stand out, guys that have been good, that were non-first or second round picks. So let's go through the 2018 NFL draft as we take a trip down memory lane and rewind to the 2018 NFL draft. So obviously Baker Mayfield goes number 1 overall. That was kind of a surprise when it happened. Didn't expect Baker Mayfield to go number 1 overall to the Cleveland Browns. He is in the process of being either traded or released by the Browns. It's been an up and down situation for him. Outstanding rookie season, not so good in his second year. They changed coaches. Freddie Kitchens came in. Baker got his head blown up, and both of those guys got a big fat slice of humble pie. Baker bounces back with a new head coach who comes in, and Kevin Stefanski, with a great scheme that fits Baker Mayfield's skill set. He's outstanding in year 3, and then is all kinds of banged up, but really inconsistent as well in his 4th year. And that led the Browns to explore other options and ultimately go out and sign Deshaun Watson. Saquon Barkley, kind of similar track to that of Baker Mayfield. His first 2 years in the league were just outstanding. He looked like he had a superstar written all over him. And then injuries the last 2 years have really devoured his seasons, to the point now where the Giants wanted out of the Saquon Barkley business, but really had no suitors for his services. And so, you're in a situation now where this is probably the last year of Saquon Barkley in New York for the Giants, and he's trying to prove to the rest of the league that he's not washed after 2 injury-riddled seasons. Sam Darnold went 3rd overall to the Jets. I never liked the pick. I never liked Sam Darnold as a football player, so I wasn't surprised that he didn't work for the Jets. He's been awful in the league for the Jets. He'll always be remembered for seeing ghosts. The quote that he had on a Monday night where ESPN was foul and out of pocket for even putting that on national television. They have the right and the right of first refusal to be able to say, nah, we're not going to do that, young man, like that. But instead, they put his soundbite up there. He was mic'd up and he says, man, I feel like I'm seeing ghosts out there. Yikes. Sam Darnold stinks. He's now a member of the Carolina Panthers, and they're desperately trying to acquire Baker Mayfield, which is funny, to replace him as their starting quarterback in Carolina. Browns had the 1st and the 4th selection. They spent the 4th pick on Denzel Ward. That has gone a lot better than the 1st overall pick of Baker Mayfield. Denzel Ward just got a fat-ass contract extension in Cleveland, so they feel really good about Denzel Ward and what he's provided for them when he has been healthy. Bradley Chubb went 5th overall to the Denver Broncos out of NC State. Again, another guy that when he's healthy, he's been dominant, but hasn't always been healthy. They've gotten him some help opposite of him now, and I expect him to play some outstanding football if he gets back to his healthy self. Indianapolis Colts took Quentin Nelson, 6th overall guard out of Notre Dame. It's rare to see a guard go this high, but Big Q, well worth the price of admission. He's been, since he's come in the league, the best guard in all of football, and I don't think anybody second guesses the Indianapolis Colts for pulling the trigger on Quentin Nelson at number 6. The Bills traded up to number 7 to get the quarterback that they desired in Josh Allen. This was my guy in that year's draft class. If you recall, I went back and watched, and I actually was a lot higher on Josh Rosen than I thought, but this was the guy that I actually said that of all the quarterbacks in that draft class, if you asked me which one I thought would succeed the most, and if I had to put money on it, this was the guy that I was rolling with. It was Josh Allen. So I actually was really high on Josh Rosen, though. And Josh Allen, however, to me is the last man standing of this draft class, along with, of course, Lamar Jackson. But I don't think a lot of people had him pegged as the best of this group. I did. But Josh Allen, man, he's going to win an MVP here shortly. And the Bills, they hit it out of the park with this one. And it's always so refreshing when you trade up like the Chiefs did for Patrick Mahomes, and you get the right guy, and you don't have to worry about the most important position in the game for many years to come. So the Bears, 8th overall, take linebacker Roquan Smith out of Georgia. He's been really solid. You know, I don't know if they feel like he's lived up to the first-round billing, but he's been really good. I like Roquan Smith. The San Francisco 49ers took Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, 9th overall. I don't think they feel like they've gotten number 9 overall type of value out of Mike McGlinchey to this point. Same could be said for the Arizona Cardinals, who also traded up. They selected Josh Rosen, and it only took them one season to realize they made a mistake. They ended up drafting Kyler Murray with the number 1 overall pick the very next year and getting rid of Josh Rosen, shipping him off to Miami. And it's just been one team after the next for Rosen, who I think is still holding on by a thread with the Atlanta Falcons at this current juncture. I couldn't have been more wrong about Josh Rosen. He stinks. He really does stink. Miami Dolphins, 11th overall. As we just talked about, Minkah Fitzpatrick was their selection at 11. He was good for the Dolphins. They just, he saw what direction they were going in, and he wanted out. And they said, "Oh, you want out? Well, we'll get you out of here." And they shipped him off to Pittsburgh. And as you can see, it's been a match made in heaven, and he just got paid for his services in Pittsburgh. Tampa Bay Buccaneers took defensive tackle Vita Vea with the 12th overall pick, and he's been phenomenal for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As a matter of fact, he just got broken off with a massive extension for his services as one of the best run-stuffing defensive tackles in all of the National Football League. 13th overall, the Washington Redskins select Daron Payne, defensive tackle out of Alabama. If you watched that video, you know that is one of my greatest rants in this channel's history. I'm ashamed of that rant looking back on it because, boy, I dropped some nasty F-bombs in that one, or at least one in particular. And that's not my style. You guys know that. But I was really upset because of who was still on the board. We'll get to the guy that I wanted the most, but there were several options available. But one in particular really was the one that tickled my fancy. But the New Orleans Saints take Marcus Davenport, 14th overall, and he's been really good when healthy. And did you guys read the story? He had the tip of his pinky amputated this offseason. Yikes. He's dealt with so many injuries, man. He's got that J.J. Watt elbow brace that he wears. He's got a lot of injuries that he's dealt with. But when he's healthy, man, is he effective on the football field. He was 14th overall. Raiders take Colton Miller, offensive tackle out of UCLA. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he got a contract extension, I think, a year ago. So they feel good about Colton Miller as their left tackle. And one of the few times they've gotten something right in, Oakland, at least in the first round here recently. Buffalo Bills take Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker out of Virginia Tech, 16th overall. This is the guy that I wanted so badly in that draft class. I thought that he had a chance to be Micah Parsons before Micah Parsons. He's got a similar skill set to Micah Parsons. Not as explosive as Micah Parsons, but I thought he had the ability to go get 12 sacks in a season, drop into coverage, run with the running back 15, 20, 30 yards down the field like Micah Parsons can. I thought he had the ability to do all that stuff. Rush as a blitzer, rush off the edge as a pass rusher, drop into coverage. And the Bills just simply said, nah, we're not doing none of that. You're just going to play linebacker for us. You're going to drop into coverage. You're going to be more of a coverage guy than anything else, which is cool. He's made it to a Pro Bowl doing that, but felt like there was so much more they could have tapped into. And a lot of Washington fans wanted this guy 17th overall. The Chargers took Derwin James, safety out of Florida State. He was a guy that a lot of fans wanted. And I was shocked that he was still on the board at 17. But he's worked out when healthy. That's the problem. He hasn't always been healthy, but when healthy, he's been one of the better safeties in football. Same can be said for this next guy. Green Bay Packers take cornerback Jair Alexander, 18th overall out of Louisville. This guy, when healthy, he just got a contract extension from the Green Bay Packers as well. When he's healthy, and he wasn't this past year, but the previous years, he was lights out. So another one of those guys that went a little bit later on in that first round and has been stellar for their respective teams. Dallas Cowboys take Leighton Vander Esch. Early in his career, he looked like he was going to be a clone of Sean Lee and a guy that was going to play for a number of years and, even maybe rival Luke Kuechly in terms of his impact for the Dallas Cowboys. That quickly waned. Injuries started to take effect, especially the neck injury for him. He started to look like Sean Lee in terms of missing a ton of games because of injury. And the Cowboys have since somewhat soured on him. They still think he's a talented football player, but they've started to build in a few replacements just in case he can't play. So he's been good for the Cowboys, though. He's made a Pro Bowl as well. Frank Ragnow for the Detroit Lions was 20th, a center out of Arkansas. He's been really good for the Detroit Lions. He made a Pro Bowl as well. So another really good pick in the first round. Cincinnati Bengals selected Billy Price, center out of Ohio State. I just take offense with so many interior offensive linemen being selected in the top 25 of the first round. No problems with you taking an interior offensive lineman because teams do that. But two centers in the top 25 and the guard being the best in football. So you can excuse that one. But Billy Price turned out to not be worth the price at 21 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Neither was the Tennessee Titans pick at 22, Rashaan Evans, linebacker out of Alabama. I didn't love the pick when they made it. I thought that he had maybe some ability to rush off the end as an edge rusher, but I didn't love him as just a off the ball linebacker. I thought he had limitations, and I didn't think he was going to be great, and he hasn't been for the Titans, and it's been a failed first round pick there. Isaiah Wynn was 23rd overall to the New England Patriots, tackle out of Georgia. Remember, a lot of people loved him as a tackle, but say, hey, man, I don't know if he's going to make it. He's short. He's 6'3", shorter arms, probably going to have to kick inside the guard. The Patriots gave him an opportunity to play tackle, and he's actually been really good for them when he has been healthy. Carolina Panthers selected DJ Moore, wide receiver out of Maryland, 24th overall. They just gave him a contract extension, so they feel good about their investment there. And so he's been really good for the Carolina Panthers. I think he's turned in 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons, if I'm not mistaken. So he's starting to play some of his best football. Hayden Hurst went 25th overall to the Baltimore Ravens, tight end out of South Carolina. He's pretty much been a bust. Remember, he was a baseball player, turned football player. And, the upside is what got him drafted in the first round. And just didn't work in Baltimore. They traded him to Atlanta. Hasn't really worked out there either. So I think that it's pretty safe to say that Hayden Hurst was a first round bust. Atlanta Falcons selected Calvin Ridley, wide receiver out of Alabama, 26th overall. It was funny, watching the way his career has unfolded. Comes into the league, he's got Julio Jones next to him, so he doesn't have to be a number one. But then Julio gets hurt in his last year in Atlanta, and it kind of forces Calvin Ridley to be in that number one role, and he relishes in that role, has huge numbers, and the Falcons feel so good that they can allow Julio Jones to move on, and they end up trading him to the Tennessee Titans in the offseason. And now it's Calvin Ridley's show. He's the number one wide receiver, and not only does he not live up to the billing, he gets injured. Then he has some kind of personal reasons why he can't play. And then we later find out he was betting on the NFL, and now he's suspended for the entire 2022 season. So that turned into a mess quickly. But when he's playing, he's actually worth a first-round selection. But we won't be able to see him in action until at the earliest 2023. Seattle Seahawks, this is their MO in the first round. They always try to be the smartest team in the room. They took running back Rashad Penny out of San Diego State in the first round. This guy was a third round pick at best. They took him in the first round, and they've gotten probably seventh round value out of Rashad Penny because of injuries to this point of his career. And so that was a big swing and miss there. Steelers take Terrell Edmonds, safety out of Virginia Tech, the brother of Tremaine Edmonds, who went 16th overall to the Buffalo Bills. Solid pick there, but I don't think they feel like they got what they thought they were getting out of Terrell Edmonds in the first round. And I thought they overdrafted him, to be honest with you, when that pick was made. Jacksonville Jaguars select Taven Bryant, defensive tackle out of Florida. I was wrong about him. I thought he was going to be really good. I thought he was like a J.J. Watt light when he was coming out of Florida. I just saw explosiveness. I saw a guy that used his hands. I thought he was going to come in and wreck shop back into the first round. Boy, was I wrong. Minnesota Vikings select Mike Hughes, cornerback out of UCF. I was not wrong about him. I did not like him. I did not think he was worthy of a first-round pick. That was Mike Zimmer doing Mike Zimmer things. He loves to select first-round corners. He did it again here unnecessarily, I thought. And Hughes quickly was shipped out of Minnesota when they realized they made a mistake. He went to Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken. Hasn't really done much of anything there either. New England Patriots select Sony Michel, running back out of Georgia. I thought that was the wrong running back out of Georgia to select first. I thought Chubb was the better of the two. But Sony Michel, if you remember, he finished up that season on a tear. Remember, they went all the way to the national championship game, lost to Alabama and Tua Tagovailoa in one of those epic comeback games in the national championship. And Sony Michel was outstanding. And so you understood why the Patriots took him over Chubb. I'm pretty sure they're wishing they had taken Chubb and not Michel, but not that Sony Michel hasn't been good. He just, problem was he wasn't able to stay healthy. They traded him to the Rams, and now he's a Super Bowl winning running back in this league is Sony Michel. And then to finish up the first round, the Baltimore Ravens selected Lamar Jackson, quarterback out of Louisville. Great pick by the Ravens to trade back up into the first round and get Lamar Jackson. You see teams do that from time to time, take that quarterback back into the first round so they get that fifth-year option. It's really paying off huge dividends for the Ravens because Lamar Jackson is really refusing to engage in contract talks with the Ravens. Really don't know what his angle is right now, but the Ravens aren't confident that they're going to get a deal done this offseason. I don't think they will either. So it's a good thing that they had that fifth-year option on Lamar Jackson, or else they could have been in danger of having to slap the franchise tag on him. And they may have to do that next offseason anyway. As you go to the second round, and he's already a league MVP, is Lamar Jackson. So that was definitely a big-time selection there. You go to the second round. We'll run through these a lot faster. Cleveland Browns take Austin Corbett, tackle out of Nevada. He's been solid. Will Hernandez went 34th overall to the Giants. I don't think they've gotten out of him what they thought they were going to get. Browns select Nick Chubb, 35th overall out of Georgia. That's been a slam dunk home run for them. Same can be said for the Indianapolis Colts, 36th overall, taking linebacker Darius Leonard out of South Carolina State. That has been an absolute home run. That might have been the best pick of the entire second round. We'll go through the rest of these picks, but I doubt anybody's going to top Darius Leonard in the second round. The Colts, the very next pick, 37th overall, took offensive lineman Braden Smith out of Auburn. He's been really good for them and a Swiss Army knife, playing multiple positions along that offensive line. Tampa Bay Buccaneers took Ronald Jones, the second running back out of USC. I did not like the pick. I did not like Ronald Jones as a running back, and neither do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is why he is no longer a member of their football team. Chicago Bears take center James Daniels out of Iowa. He's been really solid to this point of his career. Same could be said for Denver Broncos wide receiver Cortland Sutton out of SMU, who they took 40th overall. If not for the injuries, I think he could have ascended into superstardom, but the injuries have really kept him, and the quarterback position too has kept him from being one of the top tier receivers in the NFL. But he's a really good player, has already made a Pro Bowl, and now that he's got Russell Wilson, I expect him to explode in 2022. Tennessee Titans take Harold Landry, edge rusher out of Boston College, 41 overall. I told anyone that would listen he was the most pure pass rusher in that year's draft class, and he's proving it now. He was a late bloomer, a guy that started to come on towards the end of that rookie deal. He exploded last year for double-digit sacks and got an extension this offseason, and they feel really good about what they got in Harold Landry. Miami Dolphins select tight end Mike Gesicki, 42nd overall out of Penn State. I think he's a budding star as well. I think he's ready to explode. Now with the addition of Tyreek Hill, that should open up the middle of the football field for a guy like Mike Gesicki. If Tua is looking for him and checking for him, he could have a massive season in 2022 if he stays healthy. Detroit Lions select running back Kerryon Johnson out of Auburn. I remember that pick like yesterday because Washington was interested in Kerryon Johnson. And because Kerryon Johnson went at 43, Washington traded back. They were the very next pick at 44, and they were going to take Kerryon Johnson. The Lions took him. If I'm not mistaken, the Lions swooped up, and traded in front of us and took Kerryon Johnson, and that allowed us to trade back. We ended up taking Darius Guy, so I'll talk about that when we get there. But Kerryon Johnson turned out to be a bust. Couldn't stay healthy, and that was one of the problems with him at Auburn was his health, and it turned out to be a problem at the NFL level as well. San Francisco 49ers traded up with Washington, and they took Dante Pettis. That was a big swing and miss for the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver out of Washington. Green Bay Packers took cornerback Josh Jackson out of Iowa at 45. That was a nasty swing and miss as well. And I wasn't the biggest fan of Josh Jackson. He was really raw. He was a big corner, but he, lacked the kind of athleticism and movement skills that you desire at that position. But Green Bay took him in the second round. They hoped that they could mold him into the type of corner they wanted him to be, and didn't work out for them at all. Kansas City Chiefs selected Breeland Speaks, 46th overall defensive end out of Ole Miss. I didn't like that pick at all. He's been okay, but I'm pretty sure if they had to do it all over again, they would not have taken Breeland Speaks at 46. Arizona Cardinals, 47th overall, select wide receiver Christian Kirk out of Texas A&M. He is now in Jacksonville, got a massive contract from the Jaguars, and so they're expecting big things from him. He was good for the Arizona Cardinals, but has moved on in free agency. The Los Angeles Chargers, another guy that moved on in free agency, Uchenna Nwosu, 48th overall linebacker out of USC, is now a Seattle Seahawk. They moved on and upgraded that position with Khalil Mack, but Uchenna Nwosu has been a really solid player. I don't think he has reached his full potential. I don't know if he ever will, but he's been a really solid player to this point of his career. 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles at 49. That's why I kept saying 49ers, because I saw the number 49. Philadelphia Eagles at 49. If you recall, they traded up in front of Dallas. This is the year that they won the Super Bowl, right? After they won the Super Bowl. So they didn't have, a lot of holes on their roster. They were feeling good about themselves. And so I think they actually only selected 2 players in this draft, if I'm not mistaken, did the Philadelphia Eagles. And Dallas Goedert was one of them. They're like 2 or 3 or like a 4-player draft for the Eagles after they won the Super Bowl. They traded out of the first round and allowed the Ravens to select Lamar Jackson. And then they used that draft capital to trade up in front of Dallas, because Dallas was interested in taking Dallas Goedert at the tight end position. And so they snatched him. I remember laughing hysterically as they did that. I didn't want Dallas to get their hands on Dallas Goedert, and for good reason. He would have been a beast for that offense. Instead, the Eagles got him, and he's been really good for the Philadelphia Eagles. They paired him up with Zach Ertz, and they formed a nasty little tandem there. The Dallas Cowboys had to, do something at 50 after the disappointment of not getting Dallas Goedert. They selected Connor Williams, guard out of Texas. He stinks. I didn't like him. I remember me and my guy Sean Mack having a long discussion. Sean Mack was big on Connor Williams, thought he was going to be a beast in the league, and he actually thought he could play tackle. I was like, this man cannot play tackle. I didn't think he could play guard either, and the Cowboys clearly didn't think he could either. They allowed him to leave in free agency. He's now a member of the Miami Dolphins, and I pray for the Dolphins that they get whatever they think they're getting out of him, because he stinks, if you ask me. Chicago Bears selected Anthony Miller, wide receiver out of Memphis, 51st overall. I was wrong about him. I thought he was going to be a beast. I thought Anthony Miller was going to tear it up in Chicago, and he just didn't. And there are various reasons as to why, but he just, for whatever reason, could not get it done for that. And I think he was traded to the Texans, and then he ended up somewhere else. I think he's somewhere else now. Anyway, Indianapolis Colts, 52nd overall, select Kamoko Toure, edge rusher out of Rutgers. He's been okay. I didn't love him when they drafted him, and I still don't love him now, and I don't think they love him either. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 53rd overall, select MJ Stewart, cornerback out of North Carolina. I think that's a swing and a miss for them. With all the corners that they have selected over the last 4 or 5 years, I think that's one of the big misses for them in that secondary. Cincinnati Bengals, 54th overall, select safety Jesse Bates III out of Wake Forest. That's been a slam dunk draft pick. They just franchise tagged him, trying to hang. I don't know what their mindset is, as I said at the top of the show, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with him and whether they re-up on Jesse Bates III, or if they just get one more year of service out of him before allowing him to walk and get his money elsewhere. Carolina Panthers select Dante Jackson, cornerback out of LSU, 55th overall. He's been solid, really solid player. He's still in Carolina. I think they re-signed him to a solid contract, nothing earth-shattering. He's been solid for the Carolina Panthers. 56th overall, New England Patriots select Duke Dawson, cornerback out of Florida. Again, another miss for the New England Patriots. They just don't draft well. They do a really good job of finding guys on teams that haven't worked out for them, that they feel like, yeah, we can make that guy work, like a Kyle Van Noy, for instance. They do a really good job of finding the stuff that you don't want and taking it and shining it up. But as far as drafting their own guys, they've struggled with that in New England. Oakland Raiders, 57th overall, selected PJ Hall, defensive tackle out of Sam Houston State. Early in his career, he was solid. He didn't really pan out for the Raiders the way they thought. Atlanta Falcons selected Isaiah Oliver, cornerback out of Colorado, 58th overall. I was high on Isaiah Oliver. I thought he was really going to be good, and he's been solid. I think the Falcons have been pleased with what they've gotten, but they want more out of him, which is why they drafted another first-round corner, and he turned out to be the real deal in A.J. Terrell. But Isaiah Oliver, I think he has a chance to be solid still, even though I don't think he's been what I thought he was going to be in the league. The Redskins, 59th overall. I told you they traded back from 44 after the Lions traded in front of them and took running back Kerryon Johnson. They trade back and they were patting themselves on the back. I mean, they broke their arm patting themselves on the back, getting Darius Geis, 59th overall in the second round. Remember, there was all this hoopla around Darius Geis. He was supposed to have this terrible meeting with the Philadelphia Eagles, embarrassed himself, and a lot of teams got wind of that, and that's why he fell down the draft board the way that he did. Don't know if that's why he did or not, but I can tell you this, he was a bad dude, and he ended up being out of the league not even, I think, 2 years after. He tore his ACL. And then, my bad. And then he ended up having all of these charges that were filed against him, from just rape to, sexual harassment. And he's a bad dude, man, really bad dude. So that was a wasted pick there. The Steelers, speaking of wasted picks, 60th overall, select wide receiver James Washington out of Oklahoma State. The guy that was dubbed the running back that plays wide receiver because of his frame, never really got it done. And, maybe and this is kind of how I feel about, Sam Howell and De'Ami Brown. Remember how much success James Washington and Mason Rudolph had at Oklahoma State together, and then they ended up pairing up in Pittsburgh, and everyone's thinking, oh my God, he's back with his college quarterback. He's going to be awesome. And I'm like, not so much. That's kind of how I feel about De'Ami Brown and Sam Howell. I don't want to see it. I'm hoping that Carson Wentz gets the job done, but James Washington no longer a member of the Steelers. He's now in Dallas trying to see if he can resurrect his career. Jacksonville Jaguars take DJ Chark, 61st overall in the second round. He was fantastic early in his career, made a Pro Bowl even, and then, injuries really hurt him. And, the quarterback position didn't help his situation either. Really more so injuries than anything else. Minnesota Vikings take Brian O'Neill, tackle out of Pitt, in the second round, 62nd overall. He's been fantastic for the Minnesota Vikings. I remember when they made this pick, there were so many Vikings fans that were upset because of the tackle that they took like 2 years previous to that out of Pitt that stunk, and they didn't want another Pitt tackle. I'm like, this guy isn't the same guy you just took, but he does have the same kind of measurables and athleticism. They didn't want to hear that, but it turned out that Brian O'Neill actually was good. Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Carlton Davis, cornerback out of Auburn, 63rd overall. He's been fantastic. I think he just got a deal last offseason, if I'm not mistaken, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they feel really good about him. And the Indianapolis Colts took Tyquan Lewis, defensive end out of Ohio State, 64th overall to wrap up the second round. Solid. Not a needle mover by any stretch of the imagination, but he kind of fits what they do in Indianapolis. So let's go through the rest of this draft quickly and pick out any guys that stand out. Justin Reed, third round pick of the Houston Texans, safety out of Stanford, 68th overall. Now in Kansas City with the Chiefs, they used him and signed him to a solid deal to replace Tyrann Mathieu. He's been a really good player to this point. Fred Warner, third round, 70th overall, linebacker out of BYU, has morphed into one of the best middle linebackers in football. I think the two best middle linebackers in football came out of this draft, as we already talked about Darius Leonard, the Maniac, going in the second round. Fred Warner is probably right behind him in terms of where they rank 1 and 2 in the league in terms of middle linebackers in football. As we go through the rest of this draft, and we're in the third round. Let's see. For Washington fans out there, we took Jaron Christian in the third round, 74th overall. Yikes. Mason Rudolph went to the Steelers in the third round, 76th overall. That hasn't really worked out for them. Michael Gallup, 81st overall selection by the Dallas Cowboys in the third round out of Colorado State. He just got a contract extension this offseason. Orlando Brown Jr., we laughed and mocked him for one of the worst combine performances in NFL history. He goes in the third round, tears it up for the Baltimore Ravens, gets traded to the Kansas City Chiefs, and if he hasn't already gotten one of the richest deals in the NFL, he's on a franchise tag, and he's looking to get one of the richest deals at the tackle position. So either way, Orlando Brown Jr. Has exceeded all expectations as a third-round pick. Mark Andrews was selected 3 picks later at 86. He's been a stud, led the league in receiving yards last season, and is one of the best tight ends in all of football. They get him in the third round, 86th overall. As we continue on through these third-round selections. Now we're into the fourth round, and let's see. For Washington fans out there, we took Troy Apke, Trap. Trap in the fourth round, 109th overall. Wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, and grab your Trap. Let's see. Any other noteworthy names? Eagles selected Josh Sweat in the fourth round, 130th overall. He just made a Pro Bowl. He's really coming into his own as a pass rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles out of Florida State. Dalton Schultz was selected in the fourth round by the Dallas Cowboys, the final pick of the fourth round, 137th overall. And he's on the franchise tag right now. Dallas is trying to figure out a way to keep him long term. He had just threatened to not show up for mandatory minis, but he did end up showing up. Let's see. Seattle Seahawks select punter Michael Dixon in the fifth round, 149th overall. He's a Pro Bowler, one of the best punters in all of the National Football League. Washington fans out there, Washington select Tim Settle in the 5th round out of Virginia Tech, 163rd overall. Buffalo Bills select offensive guard Wyatt Teller out of Virginia Tech. He ultimately goes to the Browns and turns into one of the best guards in all of football. So I think the Bills might have regretted that. Marquez Valdez-Scantling goes in the 5th round, 174th to the Green Bay Packers. He's now in Kansas City looking to play a big role in their offense with no more Tyreek Hill. As we continue on through the rest of this draft, Washington in the 6th round took Sean Dion Hamilton. Remember that name? 197th overall there. Tennessee Titans took quarterback Luke Falk, 199th overall. Boy, did he stink. Yikes. Let's see. Some quick little wide receiver names here. Equanimous St. Brown went to the Packers in the 6th round. He hasn't worked out the way that they had hoped. I think he's in Pittsburgh now. Dallas takes Cedric Wilson Jr., 6th round, 208 overall out of Boise State. He's now in Miami with the Dolphins after signing a nice little contract there. Braxton Berrios, drafted by the New England Patriots. I remember when they made this pick, I said, oh my God, you just allowed them to replace Danny Amendola with Danny Amendola Jr. and Braxton Berrios. And for whatever reason, he didn't work in New England, and now he's playing really well, just got a contract to stay in New York with the Jets. I remember this pick in the 7th round, the very first pick of the 7th round, 219th overall. The Patriots selected Danny Etling, quarterback out of LSU, and I laughed at the pick because I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to do that old thing that they had done, for so many years, where they take a guy in the draft at some point at the quarterback position behind Tom Brady, shine him up, make him look good, and then, pull the wool over someone's eyes. They were either trying to do that or they were trying to groom a guy to take over for Tom Brady once he decided to retire or they moved on from him. They did neither with Danny Etling because he stunk. I remember the Seahawks taking Alex Magoo, quarterback out of Florida International, and so many fans getting excited about Alex Magoo. And he ended up being doo-doo. I think that's the last guy that we need to talk about in this draft. Yeah, and for Washington fans, we had Mr. Irrelevant that year, Trey Quinn, wide receiver out of SMU. Obviously, did not work out for the good guys. So that is the 2018 NFL draft. Let's count up the Pro Bowlers from that draft class. We've got 1. We've got 2. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25 Pro Bowlers. And of those 25 Pro Bowlers, I'd probably go out on a limb and say 5 of them have been all-pro players to this point. Quentin Nelson has probably been an all-pro player in his career. I don't think Jair Alexander has had that distinction yet. Lamar Jackson has been an all-pro player. Darius Leonard has been an all-pro player. Fred Warner has probably been an all-pro already. Mark Andrews has been an all-pro already. So this draft has already been exceptional to this point. So anyway, there you have it. Flashback rewind to the 2018 NFL draft. We will wrap up today's show with our final segment. It's something different, something new, something we don't usually do here on the Louie Tee Network podcast. And it's story time with Louie Tee. So I told you guys I was going to tell you a story about me playing Madden in a trap house when I was in high school. But in order to give you the context that you need for the story, I got to go back in the timeline. And so you'll get two different parts of this story to make it whole. And so you won't actually get the story of me playing in a trap house on today's show, but you'll get the first part of it, which will then give you all you need to know to prepare you for the other part of the story. So I grew up, first of all, let me preference everything that I'm about to say. Excuse me, with this. I did not grow up in the hood. Okay. I am not hood certified. But what I did do was I grew up around a bunch of dudes that did grow up in the hood. So I know how the game goes. Had a lot of friends. One of my best friends stayed in a neighborhood called Berkeley. If you're from the 757, specifically Norfolk, then you know where Berkeley is in the pantheon of neighborhoods in the city. So I grew up with a lot of, from middle school on, I went to school with Berkeley kids every year. So I had a ton of friends that lived out Berkeley. And one of my best friends lived out Berkeley. And so, at one point, one of my girlfriends lived in Berkeley. Needless to say, I spent enough time out there to know how to move when I was out there. Still, there are three things that you must know about any hood and three rules that you must follow. And there are a lot more rules, but these are the top three rules that you must abide by when you go into any hood. Number one, head on a swivel at all times. Okay, all times. Anytime you step foot in any hood, head on a swivel at all times. You hear a dog bark, you hear a car screeching and hauling ass, you hear somebody go, "Hey!" Anything. All right. Gunshots, anything. Your head should turn immediately. Okay. Dog barks. You need to know where that dog is and where he's coming from and what he's barking at. Cars speeding by. You need to see where that car is. You need to know if you need to run, duck, anything, jump, whatever. Okay. Somebody's yelling, "Hey!" You don't know if it's a fight that's about to break out. Gunshots are about to break out. You don't know if he's calling you, if he's calling somebody else. Head on a swivel. Okay. And I don't need to tell you what to do if you hear gunshots. Okay. But, that's hood etiquette 101. Head on a swivel at all times. Rule number 2, don't make eye contact with people you don't know. Okay. Because you don't know how they're going to take that. So if you don't know that person, you don't make eye contact with them. There's this, back and forth dialogue. Do you make eye contact with somebody and immediately give them the head nod? I say no. I just say you just keep it pushing, head forward. Maybe you act like you're on your phone or something, but you do not make eye contact with people you don't know. Rule number 2. Rule number 3, mind the business that pays you in the hood. If it's not your business, again, head on a swivel, be aware of your surroundings, but if it's not your business, stay out of that business, okay? So I gave you those rules because I was at a dude's house. And me and this kid, we did not grow up together. We grew up around each other. Okay. So here's the difference between growing up together. Growing up together, you live in the same neighborhood, or you always play with that person, or whatever the case may be, and you guys grew up together. When you're around a guy, you always bump into that person, no matter if it's through athletics or going to school, things of that nature, but you're not best of friends. So we grew up around each other because we played sports. And so he played basketball. I played basketball. My basketball teams growing up were dominant. I didn't lose a game in 3 years in Pee Wee basketball. We went 18-0. We won the championship our last year. We rode off in a limo. It was the greatest thing ever. So we went into that first year of midget basketball thinking we were the shit. We couldn't be touched. We hadn't lost a game in 3 years. So we were the best team on one side of Norfolk, and the other best team in Norfolk was the Berkeley Cougars. We were the Fairlawn Fighting Tigers. They were the Berkeley Cougars, right? So we clashed. And this is back in the day where, midget basketball, Pee Wee and midget could fill up a gym. You know what I'm saying? So we played at the Huntersville Rec Center. And for those of you, again, know Norfolk, you know where that's at. And we filled the gym up. I mean, it was so hot in there, they had to open the gym doors to let air in because it was so packed. People were standing up. And I played against this dude for the first time in that game. It went to overtime. I'll never forget it. It was one of my best games. I scored 22 points. We lost. I was the second best player on my team. He was the second best player on his team. And we lost that game in overtime. And I remember after the game, a lot of dudes from the neighborhood, because again, we played against Berkeley, coming in the locker room and dapping me up like, "Yo, good game, this, that, and the third." It was a fun game, right? That was the first time I encountered this guy, right? And from that point on, it was mutual respect, because game recognized game. So we ended up going to the same middle school. We played on the middle school basketball team together. We played JV basketball together. And that's when I pivoted and I started playing, really focusing in on baseball and other sports, football, things of that nature. And he stuck with basketball. So we went to the same middle school. We went to the same high school. And we always played the game against each other. So when we were in basketball practice, we would have 3-point contests against each other. We were very competitive with one another. And then I found out that he was a gamer like me. So once I found out he played the game, I was like, "Hey, do you want the smoke?" And of course, we weren't saying that back in the day. "Do you want the business?" That's what we used to say back in the day. We were whack. And so he ended up coming over to my crib. This is back in the days of the Sega Dreamcast. So I'm playing the Sega Dreamcast. This is NFL 2K. I don't know if you guys remember. NFL 2K was dope. Okay. I felt like if the Sega Dreamcast had done it correctly and lasted, that franchise could have rivaled Madden in the way that NFL Game Day once rivaled Madden. Even though Game Day was whack, you still had an alternative to Madden. 2K was dope on the Sega Dreamcast. And so we played each other there. I got the best of him on that system. Then we took our head-to-head battles from the Sega Dreamcast to the PlayStation. And that's where shit went off the rails for me against him. He started finding out ways to cheat, and he started becoming a beast. Money started to get involved, and a lot of shit talking going on. And so we would play each other all the time. So that's the backstory, right? So now I end up at his house one night. This is Madden 2004 with Vic on the cover. And so I'm in 12th grade, and we're at his house, and it's 10:30 at night. Again, he stays in Berkeley. Okay. It's 10:30 at night, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Might have even been midnight. Okay. We've been at it for hours, playing for money. And I hear a knock at the door. Again, we in the hood. It's 10:30, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. You know how I go, So what you have to know, I talked about how competitive I am, right? I'm focused in on the task at hand. I got tunnel vision. When I'm playing a game, I have tunnel vision. I can't focus on anything but the task at hand. It's 3rd and 7. All right. He just stopped me on the last possession. So I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, am I going to get cover 2 or am I going to get cover 3 here? As the door, is being knocked on yet again. So he pauses the game. And as he pauses the game, I should have known something had gone awry, or something not normal was about to happen. Maybe a transaction was about to take place, because I did not know he owned a gun, but he picked up his gun and he went to the door. I'm like, Rule 1 and 3 are in effect. Head on a swivel at all times, okay? And mind the business that pays you. So I see the gun. I refocus. That's not my business, okay? My business is 3rd and 7. Am I getting cover 2? Am I getting cover 3? Or am I getting a zone blitz? This is what I'm focused on. I need to convert this 3rd and 7. I'm already down 13-7 in this ball game, okay? He goes to the door. He tells the person at the door to wait. He goes upstairs, comes back down, quick little dap, shuts the door, okay? If you know, then you know what just transpired, okay? I'm no dummy. And again, I did not sleep in the Holiday Inn last night, and I am not from anybody's hood but I know what just transpired. But again, 3rd and 7. Am I getting cover 3? Am I getting cover 2? Or am I getting a zone dog? Okay, am I getting a blitz? I need to focus. I need to win my money back. I just lost my money. So that is where we're going to leave this story off at. Okay, so that's the precursor to where we're going. Okay, so that's the backstory of where we're going with this story. So you see where this is going. I'm going to leave you right there. We'll pick up there the next time we have a throwback podcast. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie Tee here. And I thank you guys for joining me today on the podcast. And I thank you guys for riding with me. Story time with your man Louie Tee. So I got a couple of super chats that I need to get to before we get out of here. I don't want to leave those on the table. So got a brand new member. Do it for Dale Jr. Stand up. You are officially in the building as the newest member of the MOBB. Thank you for your membership. Look forward to chopping it up with you. Mob Squad, you know what to do. Open your arms wide and do it for Dale Jr. Okay? Welcome him to the squad. Glad to have you. All right. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Wilfredo writes, hey, Lou, sorry I've been missing the streams. No need to apologize. Not one bit. Says, early mornings suck, but I've been catching them on YouTube. He said, on the tube. Anyways, happy Father's Day weekend to you and all the other dads holding it down out there. Amen to that. I was going to close the show with that, but since you brought it up, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I said this on the Washington show last night. I'm going to say it again here on the podcast. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there holding it down, whether it's your child or someone else's child, or it's your cousin, it's your nephew. Way to be a major male influence in somebody's life. Pay it forward. And if you're a dad out there holding it down, way to hold it down for your kids, man. Way to be there as a male figure for your kids and show them how it's done. So happy Father's Day to all of the dads out there everywhere. Thank you for that, Wilfredo. And if you're a dad, likewise to you, happy Father's Day. Thank you again. Alex, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Alex writes, Eagles got top 5 tight end, top 5 left tackle, top 5 slot corner, assuming Maddox repeats last year, and good pass rusher out of the 2018 draft without a first rounder. Masterclass. I remember right around that time, we were all slobbing on Howie Roseman's knob at that time. Pause. Okay. He was doing such a great job. All of the trade, everything he touched around that time turned to gold. And I remember just thinking, damn, boy, Howie Roseman is killing it. All the trades that he was making, all of the moves were really paying huge dividends for the Eagles. You didn't know everything that you were getting yourself into. They got Jordan Mailata. I remember when they got him, I'm like, okay, whatever. This nice little story. I remember when the 49ers got the ex-rugby player, Jared something, and he was, that they thought was going to be a beast, and he ended up sucking. I was thinking the same thing was going to happen with Jordan Mailata as a tackle. Another rugby guy. Okay, cool. Remember the Vikings got the German football player. They called him the German Randy Moss. He's like 6'4", ran like a 4'4" or whatever. He got drafted. Whatever happened to him, right? Like I thought Jordan Mailata was going to be another one of those dudes. Boy, was I wrong. So you absolutely killed it in that draft for sure. I don't even know how I missed Jordan Mailata. I must have skipped over him because I believe he was a 7th round pick, if I'm not mistaken, by the Philadelphia Eagles in that 2018 NFL draft. Let's see. Condoleezza Perry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My girl Condo P writes, did you peep the new Eagles logo? I did. The new word art for the Eagles. It stinks, if you ask me. It looked like what they should have been changing from to, and so it looks like they did it backwards. Everyone's trying to go for this clean, modern look now. That's the thing. And so the Eagles logo, the word art wasn't broken. I didn't think it needed fixing. I hate when teams decide, you know what, let's go modern. Let's change it up a little bit. For what? The Eagles word logo, I thought, was perfect the way it was. It didn't need fixing. This looks more like the Eagles word art from back in the day when they wore the Kelly Greens. I don't know. I don't know what they were doing here, but I don't love it. I don't hate it, but it doesn't look better than the last word art. So I thought they really messed that up for sure. Anyway, I digress. See if there are any other super chats out there. Yes, Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, Lou, Justin Fields is trash. Just saying. That brother doesn't stand a chance to last as a starter in the NFL. Did I hear it right that you would pick him over Jalen Hurts? Yeah, I would take him over Jalen Hurts in a heartbeat. And the talent difference is significant between the two. And I think he's just as hard a worker as Hurts is. I think he's got a very similar mindset. Jalen Hurts, from a work ethic and a mindset standpoint, is everything you want in an NFL quarterback. And I think Justin Fields is, if not greater, equal to Jalen Hurts in that regard. The difference between the two quarterbacks is that Justin Fields has more talent, physical talent, than that of Jalen Hurts. Stronger arm, better athlete, all of that stuff. So quicker release. So if you're asking me which I would rather have of the two, it's not even close. Give me Justin Fields. I just think he's being set up to fail. You put Justin Fields on the Eagles, I'm scared. I'm not afraid of Jalen Hurts. So I definitely take Justin Fields over Jalen Hurts any day of the week, twice on Sundays. I think that's the last super chat. I have one right here. Malachi Malik, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Tell your daughter I said, who else could it be? He writes, Lou, check out your boy St. Juice. I need some water. I was trying to fight. I don't know if y'all saw me fighting a good fight. Excuse me. Spit went down the wrong tube. And I was fighting, man. I was fighting. Just couldn't fight any longer. Says the juice man is sticking Dotson in the slot. We may be on to something here, Lou. I talked about that on the show last night, how he was running in the slot against Dotson. And I'm like, maybe I underestimated his ability to play in the slot. I still want to see it with my own two eyes. It's one thing to be doing it in camp. It's another thing to be doing it when live bullets are actually flying around and you're not checking your teammate. So I'm hearing what they're saying. I don't buy it. I don't buy it yet. So I need to see more of it. Anyway, Big Money Sonny. But I am intrigued, just so you know, Malachi. I am intrigued. And whatever happens, the guy can play ball, whether they stick him inside or outside. I like Benjamin St. Juice a lot more than I did when we drafted him. That is for certain. Just has to stay healthy. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Big Money Sonny, greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny, thank you for doubling up. Writes, respectfully, I think Fields has the mentality of a 12-year-old. Did you see QB1 and Beyond on Netflix? No, I did not see that. But, that may add greater perspective. Also, that I'm assuming that's old. That's from when he was younger. Everybody's got a different mindset when they're younger. I think he's grown and matured since then. But again, I could be wrong about Justin Fields, but everything that I've heard about him is that of a kid that gets it, head on his shoulders, consummate professional, hard worker, leader, guy you want in your locker room, leading your guys. Everything that I heard about him has been pretty much checking all the boxes, similar to Jalen Hurts. So I don't have a problem with him, but, to each its own. So we'll see. Anyway, Emperor Meech, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Emperor Meech, writes, wait, hold on. Is that my favorite segment finally returning? I'll be damned. Yeah, it took a while, man. And you said, "Hey, bro, I need it," and I said, "I'm gonna give it to you." It took a while, but it's back like cooked crack. So we're in the dead heat of the summer, the dog days of summer. So it's not gonna be much to talk about. So we'll get into some more of these throwback podcast episodes, and looking forward to doing it because I have fun when I throw it back with you guys in any event. That's going to do it. And it's always good to hear from you, Emperor Meech. I haven't heard from you. Don't know how you feel about all the moves the Giants have made. It's always good hearing from you, though. Anyway, I digress. We will pick this story up where we left off the next time. Left you on a cliffhanger, okay? And I look forward to chopping it up with you. And I promise it won't be 3-4 months down the road, okay? It'll be in a few weeks. We'll do this again. And I'll recap this, first half of the story for those of you who missed out on the first half. I'll recap it, and then we'll pick up, and you'll get to me playing Madden in a trap house. So anyway, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie Tee. I thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. Enjoy your weekend. If you're a father out there, once again, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there holding it down. Game 6 of the NBA Finals is tonight. I think we'll be in for a treat. Game 7 on Sunday will decide who is the NBA Finals champion. That's what I think. We'll see if the Celtics can hold up their end of the bargain or not tonight. Whatever happens, we'll break it all down on Monday here on the podcast. Look forward to talking to you guys then. Until then, you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. God bless and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.